Good morning everybody, how are you doing? My name is Daniel Pinal and thank you very much for tuning back to my channel. This is gonna be a new illustration video in which I will talk a bit about kind of a personal topic for me, which is failure. Just for your interest, this is the 5th attempt or so at making this video with a different subject matter each time, because I just couldn't do it. It took me a whole week to get through this, and it's not like I was working on it a couple hours every day during a week. It was like I made every single day I made a painting that I was recording and I don't like, so I had to erase and start again, and so it became a very jarring process. But I want to talk about it and about a bit of art block and stuff of similar sort. So if you are going through some of this, stay tuned, and just perhaps this will help you in some way. So just a quick word about the process I'm using here. I am actually trying to show you a bit of a different process each time I record one of these. This time I'm making some thumbnail sketches and then just refining them, and basically just working very linearly at the beginning. Yeah, I always work very linearly, but this sort of thumbnailing process I don't usually do, so enjoy that. From now on we're talking only about the failure thing, because I think it's really important for us as artists to understand how, first of all, how to fail, and then how to take failure. What do I mean with this? So how to fail is basically, no matter how advanced you are, and I have heard this from many artists and interviews on the internet, which I'm sure you have as well, because they're pretty popular videos. But anyway, many artists always say that they are always failing and they're always committing mistakes and they have to correct them, and they have to, a lot of times they don't really like their art or their pieces. And I think this is something to understand, that no matter who you are, you will always have that piece, or that at least one work that you did that you're not proud of, that you did not really like, or so simply sometimes that you just don't know what to do, or whatever you paint you don't like. And this is what is usually referred to as an art block, and it's one of those things that people tend to get really scared about, and I get it too all the time. I have had a lot of very bad art blocks in which I literally couldn't draw for months. This happened at the beginning of 2017, I believe. I had one of these where I was just delaying a lot of my art and just doing the bare minimum to not fail to clients, but a lot of times it was just very jarring and very difficult for me to get myself to draw. And one thing I learned from that, and that I applied here again, was if you are having difficulties with a piece, just stop for a little while. If you are having an art block, just allow yourself not to draw for a little while. I have a lot of video games that I don't play because I just like to have them, apparently. But if you're in a similar situation where you have video games, or you have like I don't know, if you like to play music, which I do as well, just find something that you find relaxing, that you find a good activity that is fulfilling for you, that is not art, and just use that when you are having troubles. Just let yourself, even if it's just a couple of hours, just let yourself calm down and do something else for a little while. Allow yourself to be a little bit away from art, experience a little bit more, or simply just clear your head, and that will help a lot in these moments. And I found that a lot of people tend to get a little bit over their heads with how intense they want their practice to be, and it can lead to a lot of really rapid improvement, which is awesome, and we all like that. But when they hit a plateau, which is basically your progress is not a straight line. It will have very large periods sometimes in which it will get flat and you will not improve for a while, until you start working towards it again, or until you simply absorb the knowledge that you've acquired during this upward momentum phase of your learning. And when you try to be very, very hardcore with your learning, you get to a point where if you get a plateau, you freak out because you're putting a lot of energy into it and it's just not showing off. And that's when you start getting these thoughts of, oh, perhaps I reached the peak of my potential, which I've heard so many times in this. Honestly, it's just really, it's just not true. It's a really weird thing to say, oh, I have reached the limit of my capabilities. No, you've reached a plateau, and that's something that everyone goes through. And so a lot of people get really into very hardcore practice and very hardcore training where they cannot take a day off because they will explode or something. And I think while it leads to a lot of success when you're starting out, it will end up kinda harming you on the long run, and that is something that I think needs to be addressed. That a lot of people probably don't like to hear that they are overdoing it, but I think they are. A lot of people tend to be a little bit too hardcore with their schedule, and they get depressed if they are not, and this will only make art blocks even more dramatic and even more hard to get through. So don't overdo yourself. When I was making this, I was feeling really not up for it. I had a lot of work at this moment. I had a lot of things to do, a lot of things on my plate, and what I did was simply just calm down, allow myself not to work on it. I finally played some of the games I have, and I spent probably a good 4 or 5 hours just playing games, and it was really good. And another thing I do that has allowed me to work a lot of time without heavy art blocks, because this last one, it was just a week of not very good paintings, and it wasn't like I was hating them, it was just like I didn't think it was good enough to share with you guys. So a thing I do a lot to avoid art blocks is I play a lot of tabletop RPGs, and that is basically what I've been doing these illustrations for. These are illustrations for my fantasy setting, and I do it a lot. I play during the weekends. I play around 3 to 4 hours sessions with some of my friends, and that helps me a lot to just calm down on a Sunday. Just do something that is kinda artsy, because it's storytelling and stuff, but it's not drawing. It's not necessarily visual arts, because if you like chocolate and you like it very, very much, and you decide, you know what, I'm gonna eat chocolate for the rest of my life, which is an awesome goal if you ask me. But if you decide to do it every day, every meal, you will have at least 1 bar of chocolate every meal. You will not only get very unhealthy amounts of sugar, but you will also get tired of it. You will get bored of this thing you loved, and this is something that is very common to happen with artists. They burn out, and a lot of times artists, especially hobbyists that do it just for the fun of it, when they start moving into the professional work, when you have to do it every day because you are getting paid for it, and you have to do it 8 hours a day, and even if you are not quite feeling like it, you have to do it because you're getting paid for it. It is a lot of times a lot of people quit because of this, because they feel like the fun was taken out of it. Like now that they have to do this thing they love, they are not so inclined to do it. And I think I have 2 answers to that, 2 ways to avoid that. Number 1 is just don't allow it to become a work. Just, it's alright to be a hobbyist. Now if you want to be a professional, just don't allow it to become a work. Just, if you want to make a living out of art, just do your own thing, and that is a very good way to just avoid this whole it's become a work thing, at least for a little while. Because at the end of the day, if you do it every day, at least the same as with chocolate, you will get bored of it, believe me. And the second way is just allow yourself to do something non-art related. Play an instrument, play a sport, or play tabletop RPGs, because they are awesome and you definitely should. But also just go and play some video games, or watch a movie, or spend some time with your family. Do something that is not art related, that you will not that will allow you to not think about art and all the problems you have and all the different commissions you have and etc. Just allow yourself to do something fun that you enjoy and that is not a career. I think that's very important. Don't make your every single passion you have into your career, because it's going to become work again, and you're gonna go through the same process again and again and again. You just have to have some things that, well, at least that's what I did. And before we move on, I want to say this is just my opinion. Do not take it as the gospel. I don't think nobody should take what I say as the gospel. Anything I say, really, because I'm not that smart. But just if it's resounding with you, if you think this makes sense, just try it out and see how it works. If it doesn't work, well, you didn't lose anything. And if it did work, well, you gained a lot of things. You gained the ability to control your art blocks. You gained the ability to control how your creativity works. Because a lot of times these art blocks, when they are not powered by simply plateaus of improvement, that you're not improving more beyond what you already know, but they are usually a product of us just being bummed out with not being able to think straight or not being able to think anything new, because we're just stuck in the same patterns. And this is very common when you're a working artist, because you kind of have to have a process even for generating ideas, because if you're only relying on inspiration, it will not work out. You need a more reliable method to do it. And so the more you develop methods and formulas for creating ideas and for creating illustrations, the more you are constraining yourself, and at some point you will just fall on the same patterns and you will not find any way out of it. So allowing yourself to have an out, to have a thing that is art related kinda, or that is not even art related at all, but that will give you ideas and that you enjoy doing, is a very, very great way to avoid these kind of things. And again, if you fail one day, and you will, if you do something enough times, you will get better at it, but you will also fail sometimes. So when you fail, just don't get bummed by it. Everyone does it, everyone has done it, and everyone will do it. And there will not come any point at your career, at least I don't believe so, where you spend a lot of time without committing a mistake and you will never commit a mistake again. That is most likely not gonna come. If you've I strongly recommend you just look for Renaissance sketches from Renaissance old masters like Da Vinci, Pontormo, and stuff like that. Just find those sketches, the sketchbooks of them, and you will realize there are a lot of pages where they just basically try to erase or rip off parts of a sketch because they didn't like it, and that's the thing. Now the second branch of this video is just how to fail. And this is something that I believe it was Ian McKay who said it, and by the way, big fan of Ian McKay. Just go check his stuff. He's just amazing. But anyway, I was watching this interview, I believe, with Ian McKay, and he said that you always fail, but you have to learn how to fail like a professional. And this is something that really resonated with me this week, because you really need to when you have to do something and you're not feeling it, you're not feeling like you can do it, and you're closing into your deadlines. I literally did this yesterday when I was like 5 hours away from having to edit this and then just record this audio. But when you're getting close to the deadline and it's not working out, you cannot simply say to your boss, you know what, I tried and it didn't work out, can I get paid anyway? You're not gonna get through a lot of this. Perhaps you can at some point, but it's most likely you're not going to get through a lot of works with this. So you kind of have to learn how to fail like a professional. And I haven't mastered these techniques, but I think this is really useful to think that you don't need to have a perfect drawing at the end. You don't have to have a perfect art piece that you want to hang on your walls. You just have to fake the illusion that it is complete and done. And if you do it well enough, it will be better than most people could do it, and it will still be really good even if it's not your best piece ever. Now, when you're doing this just for your portfolio or just for yourself, you can spend with it as much time as you want, and you can just redo it 10,000 times until you get it just right, and that's fantastic, more power to you. But if you want to work professionally, sometimes you have to give something at the end of the month or at the end of the week, or sometimes even the next day, and you don't have time to redo it again and again and again and again. And you can only do it so many times before you run out of time. So learning how to fail in a convincing way, as if it was your intention to do it that way from the beginning, is a really useful bit of advice for artists. So talking a little bit about the piece, this is not an actual character that I have planned, but I wanted to find out what my wizards look like, because I don't want the traditional just long robes, bright colors wizard in my setting. It's still a very classical kind of witch character, and I like it. I like that kind of aesthetic, and I think it kind of fits with the kind of setting I'm making, which is a very high fantasy setting, but where magic is not this widespread thing. Like it's kind of counterintuitive when you see how many dragons I want to put in this setting, but still there isn't a lot of magic. Like I want magic to feel weird and mystical, so I wanted to give this character a bit more of a witch fashion, which I hope you guys can see throughout her attire. Painting clothing is something that, again, I have to work on. I have to put out a video on how to draw clothing, because I think drawing clothing for me is easier than painting clothing. When I'm painting, especially if I commit the grave mistake that I did here of painting over the top of my lines, painting is really hard for me sometimes. So I need to put up this video on how to draw clothing, and perhaps I will learn more that way than trying to study it on my own on isolation. One thing that you want to the drawing tip of the day that I want you to take away from this video, so that if you are here just for the drawing tips you don't get away with nothing, is do not do what I'm doing here and work every piece separately, because it will look a little bit like they exist in different places. Try and work as I have done in other pieces, where I start with different colors, start very small and then work my way in. But at this point I was really excited with the fact that I was actually getting one. So yeah, what would you guys like to hear me talk about in the next video? I am kinda curious as to what you guys think about these videos. Do you like them? Do you not? Would you prefer me to do more educational videos, and that would take a little bit more time to do? But if you'd like me to, I'm happy to do it. Would you like me to talk more about techniques? Would you like me to talk more about the art life and art mentality? I'm open for suggestions, guys. Just leave a comment down below. For the time being, I'm just gonna probably let this play in timeout for a little bit, and I'll talk to you guys near the end of the video. So, yeah, hello guys, and hope you're enjoying this time lapse. At this point, I am almost done with this piece. I used more correction layers than I am used to, and now I am trying to correct the face after signing it, because as you guys know, I cannot sign something and then just leave it be. I have to correct something after signing it. That's just how I work. I just want to give more definition to the face. But now we're approaching the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys got something good and useful out of it. If you did, please give a like. You know the drill. You know how YouTube works. I don't have to tell you. And I would like to hear you guys on the comment section. Tell me what you like me to talk about. What you think about this video. What are your experiences with Artblock, with failing, and with working on the industry? If you are working on the industry, and if you're not, why not? And sorry, just tell me what are your plans for the future. And yeah, if you guys like this video, just give it a like. If you didn't like it, give it a dislike. And yeah, I think we're almost done with this piece. I'm just adding some shiny on the spell, and we're done. So here is the final piece. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me creating it, and enjoyed me for some reason talking about art stuff. I don't know who would like me to talk about more art stuff, but it's fun for me, and people seem to be not very disgusted by it, so why not keeping it? If you guys want to support me, please go to the links in the description area and in the screen right now. You can follow me on DeviantArt, Twitter, Instagram, and also on ArtStation and Patreon if you want to get these videos 2 days earlier. And until next time, and with another piece of art, I will be waiting for you guys. See you later.